It was well past midnight in the luxurious mansion of Jungkook, the feared mafia boss. The moon shone through the window, casting a cold, silvery light into the office room where he sat, wrapped up in his work. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the top, showing a glimpse of his muscular chest. He was wearing earphones, his mind focused on the online conference he was attending. Despite the latter, his mind was sharp and alert. The faint sound of his breathing intermingled with the hushed silence of the night. He glanced at the time displayed on his computer screen, and a small crease appeared on his forehead. It was already past midnight, and he knew he should be heading to bed soon. The conference call seemed to be running low tonight, and he couldn't wait to end the meeting and be alone with his wife again. The door to the office room slowly cracked open, revealing his wife behind. Half closed eyes, she stumbled inward, her hair mussed and her skin flushed with sleep. Her soft, quiet footsteps echoed against the hardwood floor as she made her way towards him. His eyes immediately turned towards her, the conference call in the background forgotten. A smile tugged at the corner of his lips as he regarded his wife, who looked more adorable than ever in her sleepy state. He quickly muted the microphone on the conference call and switched the video feed to audio only. His eyes remained riveted on his wife as she approached, his mic growing quieter. The soft muted sound of the conference call's audio filled the room, but it faded into the background as he focused all his attention on his sleepy, adorable wife. Her half-lidded eyes met his, and she spoke in a sleepy, sultry voice. "Mine, I can't sleep." He chuckled softly, his heart warming at the sight of her. He beckoned her closer, mentioning for her to come to sit on his lap. He pushed his chair back slightly, making room for her to sit. "Jungkook, come here," he said, his voice low and gruff. "Let me take care of you." His hand reached out gently, guiding her towards him. Once she was seated on his lap, he wrapped his arm around her, bringing her body closer to his. The cool night air seemed to vanish as she was enveloped in his warmth and comfort. He planted a soft kiss on top of her head, his fingers tracing light circles on her back. "Jungkook, why can't you sleep?" he asked, his voice a tender whisper. She snuggled her face into his chest, breathing in the familiar scent of his warmth and musk. "Wine, there's no warmth without you," she muttered, her voice slightly muffled against him. He chuckled softly, his chest trembling under her cheek. "Jungkook, is that so?" he teased, his finger gently stroking her hair. He smiled down at her, his gaze full of affection. "Jungkook, sorry, darling," he said, his voice gentle. "I was busy in my conference call. But now you have my full attention." His hand gently brushed a strand of hair away from her face. He said tender and loving. He shifted his body slightly, settling her more comfortably on his lap. He tightened his arms around her, enclosing her in a warm embrace. She smiled drowsily, her eyes fluttering shut as she settled more comfortably in his arms. The steady rhythm of his heartbeat, coupled with the soothing feel of his chest against her cheek, lulled her into a state of peaceful sleep. He held her close, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her back. After a few seconds, he noticed her breath slowing down, signaling that she had finally fallen asleep in his arms. He slimmed to himself, his heart filled with adoration for her. He carefully unmuted the microphone on his earphone. Still keeping the video call in audio-only mode, he resumed listening to the conference call, his focus divided between the call and the sleeping beauty in his arms. He let out a sigh, his attention shifting from the conference call to the woman sleeping on his lap. Her peaceful expression, coupled with the soft, even sound of her breathing, created a picture of utmost tranquility. He knew that he should be focused on the call, but he couldn't deny the way his heart filled with tenderness every time he looked at her. She fit perfectly in his arms, and her presence was like a gentle, loving distraction. He finally spoke up into the microphone, his voice taking on a cold, commanding tone. "Jungkook, meeting dismissed," he said firmly. The other participants on the conference call may have been taken aback by his abrupt announcement, but he didn't care. He had more important things to focus on, and the sleeping beauty in his lap was far more captivating than any conference call. He gently removed his earphones, placing them on the table with a soft click. Then he carefully scooped her up in his arms, cradling her delicate form against his chest. With deliberate steps, he carried her towards their shared bedroom, his gaze fixed on her peaceful sleeping face. Each step he took was slow and careful, as if he were carrying a fragile treasure. He gently opened the door to their room and walked inside, shutting the door behind him with a soft thud. The moonlight streamed in front of the window, casting a silvery glow over the room. He walked to the bed and carefully placed her down on the soft sheet. He pulled the covers over her, tucking her in comfortably before sitting down beside her, watching her sleep with a soft, loving smile. He lay down beside her, pulling her closer to him until her body was pressed against his. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her protectively against his chest. He then let out a soft, content sigh and planted a gentle kiss on her forehead. The warmth of her body against his, the scent of her hair, and the sight of her sleeping peacefully in his arms all made his heart. He whispered gently in her ear, his voice a mixture of affection and possessiveness. Jungkook, what have you done to me, woman? I can barely breathe without you. You have completely captivated me, body and soul. He tightened his grip on her as if to emphasize his word. Jungkook, you're like a drug, an intoxicating addiction. Your presence is in my life is necessary, like care. Without you, I am just a shell of a person. He buried his face in the crook of her neck, inhaling deeply. Jungkook, I used to think I was tough, invincible, but you have made me weak, made me vulnerable. And honestly, I don't mind. As long as I have you, I am willing to be weak. He pressed a soft kiss against her skin, relishing the feeling of her soft, warm flesh against his lips. Jungkook, I don't know how I ever survived before I met you. Life was just a series of moments without true meaning. But now, with you by my side, every moment is precious. Every second spent with you is a gift. She slowly opened one eye, a small, drowsy smile playing on her lip. Wine. That's why I came into your life, my man, she murmured sleepily, still half asleep. He let out a soft chuckle, realizing that she had been awake this whole time. Jacob, you were awake all this time, my drama queen? He teased. When I just woke up when you were confessing, and I'm glad I did. I couldn't miss this chance to see my man. My husband adore me in my sleep state. She snuggled closer to him, her eyelids still heavy with sleep, but her eyes sparkling with mischief. Why, you so just sap when I'm asleep. She teased, her voice still raspy with sleep. It's cute I should stay up all night more often to witness this side of you. He rolled his eyes affectionately and tightened his arm around her, pulling her closer to his chest. Jungkook, you're a troublemaker, even when you are half asleep, he said, a hint of armor in his tone. But just know that I adore you, sleep or not. Jungkook, now go back to sleep, my little drama queen, he teased, gently running his finger through her hair. You need your beauty rest, and I need some peace and quiet too. She smiled drowsily and snuggled closer to him, her head resting on his chest when your peace is in your arm, she said, smiling. He chuckled at her response because she indeed his peace. He wrapped his arms around her, enclosing her in a warm, protective embrace. As they both closed their eyes, a sense of contentment washed over them. The room was quiet, and the only sound was the soft, steady rhythm of their breathing. They fell asleep, their bodies intertwined in a tight, comforting embrace, content in each other's presence.